Hello, good morning. Welcome to Breakfast with Roger Johnson. Our headlines today. 6 million more people in England are now under the toughest COVID restrictions as much of the south and east enters Tier 4. All of mainland Scotland is put under its tightest rules and Northern Ireland starts a 6-week lockdown. In other news, more than 1,000 people are told to leave their homes in Bedfordshire as a third severe flood warning is issued overnight.
Arsenal are hoping to unwrap a rare thing on Boxing Day, a Premier League win. They haven't had one in nearly 2 months, but manager Mikel Arteta says they could be heading for a relegation battle.
Championing change while Lewis Hamilton is backing the eco-friendly competition that drives motorsport into new terrain.
Good morning. Storm Bella is starting to bear down across the UK. We still have severe flood warnings out as a result of recent rain, numerous other flood warnings, and an amber warning for those potentially damaging winds later today. I'll have more detail for you in around a quarter of an hour.
Good morning. It's Saturday, December the 26th, Boxing Day. A belated happy Christmas from me. Our top story today, 6 million more people in the south and east of England are now living under the toughest level of coronavirus restrictions, Tier 4, which means that they must stay at home unless it's for work or education. Gyms, hair salons and all non-essential shops are also closed, as Emily Unia reports.
A return to lockdown, with more shops, pubs and restaurants across the UK forced to close to try and slow rapidly rising infection rates thought to be caused by a new strain of coronavirus.
The government has done the right thing. The variant and the coronavirus is out of control, so they had to do something.
I was expecting it at the end of the day with the numbers going up, and everyone has to live through this, so if it's going to keep us safe in the end, that's really good, and I'm quite happy.
The tougher measures could be enforced for months.
But we mustn't give up now. We know that we can control this virus. We know we can get through this together. We're going to get through it by suppressing the virus until a vaccine can make us safe. That's been our strategy, and that's what we must do.
New Tier 4 restrictions were imposed on London and parts of Essex and Hertfordshire at midnight on Sunday. This morning, most of southern and eastern England are joining them. The rules are similar to the last lockdown in England. You must stay at home unless you need to travel for work or education. You may only meet one person at a time outdoors. Non-essential shops should shut, and unless you have a genuine reason like caring for someone or going to work or school, you mustn't leave a Tier 4 area. Other parts of England are also moving into higher tiers, with only the Isles of Scilly now left in the lowest, Tier 1. In Northern Ireland, a new 6-week national lockdown has begun, with an 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew in operation until January the 2nd. All of mainland Scotland has moved into its toughest level of restrictions, and after a brief relaxation of rules for Christmas Day, Wales has returned to a full national lockdown which began on Sunday. Emily Unia, BBC News.
A new lockdown in Northern Ireland has begun today as coronavirus cases remain high. The first week of the measures are the toughest yet, with supermarkets ordered to close at 8 o'clock in the evening and an overnight ban on all indoor and outdoor gatherings. Non-essential shops must remain closed for 6 weeks and hospitality venues will be limited to takeaway services. Hundreds of families in Bedfordshire have been urged to leave their homes after floodwaters rose to potentially dangerous levels over Christmas. Tier 4 COVID restrictions will be relaxed for any residents who need to evacuate their properties so they can stay overnight with friends or relatives. 2 emergency centres have also been opened in the county. MPs have begun examining a summary of the post-Brexit trade deal between the UK and the European Union. The document contains more than 1,200 pages and the argument will be put to an emergency vote in Parliament on Wednesday. Our political correspondent Leila Nathu has the story.
In Brussels yesterday, a Christmas Day briefing for EU ambassadors on the deal by the man who led the negotiations for their side.
Mission accomplished.
What's in that blue folder sets out how the EU and UK will trade and cooperate from January, a success for both sides to have more than 1,200 pages of text setting out a new relationship. Writing in The Times this morning, the Cabinet Office Minister Michael Gove says the deal will allow the UK and EU to enjoy a special relationship as sovereign equals. He was one of the key figures in the Leave campaign. He writes that the debate over Brexit was at times ugly, and he hopes the agreement will allow British politics to move into a better place. The deal was done in the nick of time, with the UK already out of the EU and transition arrangements expiring within days. MPs and peers will have until Wednesday to digest the detail before being called back to Parliament for a debate and vote. The EU is now weighing up how the future looks with the UK outside. Member states will be reviewing the legal text in the coming days before what's on paper becomes a reality. Leila Nathu, BBC News.
Parts of the US city of Nashville remain cordoned off after a camper van exploded in the early hours of Christmas Day. 3 people were injured and widespread damage was caused when the van, which had been broadcasting a warning that a blast was imminent, blew up in the city centre. Police believe it was a deliberate act. Thousands of shops across the UK won't be opening for the traditional Boxing Day sales because of the lockdowns in Wales and Northern Ireland and tough new restrictions in England and Scotland. It follows a difficult year for the retail industry, which is calling for more government support. Vivienne Nunes reports.
End-of-year sales have been attracting crowds for decades.
They're here again, the sales and the queues. You can't afford to miss a good bargain these days. Some all-night queuers receive a welcome surprise, an early morning cuppa to warm them up for the battle ahead.
But in 2020, with Tier 4 restrictions in England, restrictions in Scotland and lockdown in Northern Ireland and Wales, many of the UK's high street stores will be empty today, leaving scores of Boxing Day bargain hunters forced to shop online. For many retailers, the key Christmas trading period has been severely disrupted. Footfall for December is down by 45% compared with 2019. The retail industry body is calling for government support to continue beyond next April.
We've seen some administration, some job losses, some store closures. So making sure that that support is targeted to those businesses as we move into 2021 is going to be really vital to ensure that we don't see more job losses and more store closures.
Stores in Manchester and Birmingham will be among those to open today, some with a cap on customer numbers and digital queuing systems in place. For those looking to find a good deal, the biggest discounts are expected to be in fashion, as retailers look to offload excess stock. But after a year of rolling sales from many of the big stores, retail analysts say some shoppers may be experiencing sale fatigue. More bad news for an industry that's endured a year like no other. Vivienne Nunes, BBC News.
It's 6:08. Good morning if you've just joined us. Welcome to breakfast on this Boxing Day morning. Let's have a look at the front pages of some of the Boxing Day newspapers. The Mirror looking back on the Queen's speech yesterday and Her Majesty's message of national unity as a result of the pandemic. The headline is a quote from her speech. "It's brought us closer. I am proud of your spirit," she said. The Times leads on an opinion piece by the Cabinet Secretary Michael Gove, who says that this week's Brexit deal will allow the UK and the European Union to form a new special relationship. The picture shows some racehorses on their way to Newbury in Berkshire, heading out onto the gallops yesterday morning. The Guardian's lead story says that British scientists are now working on a new treatment that could prevent someone who has been exposed to coronavirus from going on to develop the disease. And one of the most read stories on the BBC News website this morning is that France has found its first case of the new coronavirus variant, which was previously identified in the UK. The person who's tested positive is self-isolating and, according to the report, is said to be doing well and not feeling too ill.
See the headlines as they happen and watch BBC News live in the app and get the full story with bbc.co.uk/news. Follow the story for all the latest with BBC News.